Magic fans, I'm Beef and welcome back to another historic Brawl gameplay video, this time for a Gisa the Hellraiser deck. She is a mono black commander, could cost 3 and 2 black, and she's a 4/4 with walled 2 and pay 2 life, which is quite a significant cost for walled. And she has skeletons and zombies you control, get +1/+1 and have menace. And then whenever you commit a crime, create 2 tapped 2/2 blue and black zombie rogue creature tokens. This ability triggers only once each turn. This is an interesting commander to build, I think, because she's got basically 2 abilities. One is a skeleton zombie lord, and one is that crime payoff. And obviously you can build the deck towards either of those ends of the spectrum. And originally I built it more on the skeletons and zombies, but as I played I moved more towards the crime and crime payoff side of it. Still have some zombies and skeletons, but as you'll see in the deck, a lot more crime enablers, because she's incredibly powerful. If you can get her down, commit a crime on the same turn, and then commit a crime on your opponent's turn, when he gets back around to your turn again, she's basically added 12 power and toughness of menace, plus the 4/4 she has as well. Which is absurd, and quite often just wins you the game. So let's go through the deck. As always, we put it into sections. So first up is ramp. Ramp's incredibly important in Brawl, and because this is obviously not a green deck, we have to rely on mana rocks and fast mana. So you've got Mox Amber, add 1 mana of any colour among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. Not ramp at the start of the game. You will need a legendary creature out, but we do have a few of those, so not particularly, it's not much of a downside. Dark Ritual, pay 1 to add 3. It can ramp out our commander early, or you might be able to use it to commit a crime when it looked like you wouldn't need to. Arcane Signet, Cold Steel Heart, Mind Stone. Rare Legends really powerful. As I said, we've got a fair few legendaries, so this can tap for quite a lot. Replicating Ring and Skyclave Relic. We could go even more and add things like Key to the Archives from Alchemy or Firemind Vessel, which adds 2. But this is generally enough. You only really need to draw 1 or 2 a game to really just be ahead. Next up, we have what I'm calling one-off crimes. Now, most of these are removal spells, not all of them, but which we'll see. So, Blood Chiefs first, destroy target creature or planeswalker mana of a 2 or less. You can kick it, destroy any target creature or planeswalker. It's good for taking out planeswalkers. Bone Shards, destroy target creature or planeswalker. You've got to sacrifice a creature or discard a card. Cut down, everyone knows. Deep Cavern Bat, not a removal spell, but it is a crime enabler, getting into your opponent's hand. Feed the Swarms, very important because it can destroy enchantments as well. Go for the Throat, destroy non-artifact creature. Heartless Act, destroy a target creature with no counters on it, or you can remove counters from a creature. Infernal Grasp, destroy any creature but you lose 2 life. Power Word Kill, destroy any non-angel, demon, devil or dragon creature. Shoot the Sheriff, destroy target non-outlaw creature, so that's no assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues or warlocks. Then Walk the Plank. I don't think I've ever really seen this played, but I don't think I've ever seen a Merfolk in Brawl, or at least a Merfolk commander. So for 2 mana sorcery, it's another great removal spell. Then we've got Elspeth's Nightmare. It's a saga. The first law counter destroys a target creature an opponent controls with power 2 or less. Second one, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land. They discard it. And target counter 3 is exile target's opponent's graveyard. All 3 of these target, so that all 3 of them are crimes. So it's a great way to enable crimes on your turn without really any effort or extra mana. Murderous Rider has Swift End as an instant, destroy target creature planeswalker, you lose 2 life. So basically a 3 mana Infernal Grasp, but then you can play it as the Murderous Rider for a 2/3 lifelink. Parun, destroy target creature or planeswalker, it's a Vow 2, but it has Convoke. Crippling Fear is not actually a crime, but you choose a creature type. Creatures that aren't the chosen type get -3/-3. Most of the bad creatures are skeletons or zombies, so you could say zombies probably wipe your opponent's board. Gisa will still survive because she's got more than 3 toughness. Ravenous Chupacabra, a creature when it ETBs, destroy target creature. Corrupt, 6 mana, so expensive, but it deals damage to any target equal to the number of swamps you control. You gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. A great way to end the game as well. Virtue of Persistence, lock Thwain Scorn, target creature gets -3/-3, you gain 2 life, and then you can pay the Virtue to get a creature back at the beginning of each upkeep. Overwhelming Forces is great fun to play. It's 8 mana, so it's a lot, but it's a one-sided ball wipe, and you draw a card for each creature destroyed this way. And March, I really like March of Wretched Sorrow because it gains you life, 1 on an X, deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life. Mono Black doesn't have a huge amount of ways to gain life, and this can be a great way to stabilise while killing a big creature or planeswalker. Next up, we have repeatable ways to commit crimes, and this can either be you've got to do something or it happens automatically. So Tiny Bones joins up is probably the best way of doing this. So when it ETBs, any number of target players each discard a card, but then whenever a legendary creature ETBs under control, any number of target players each mill a card and lose 1 life. So this is a great way to get down on turn 1, and then, for example, if you play Gisa, because Gisa is a legendary, it will trigger that second mode. You cause your opponent to mill and lose 1 life. That targets them. That counts as committing a crime, so you've committed a crime straight away. And a couple of our legendary crime payoffs as well will work with them. We'll get to that in a second. Tiny Bones is a pickpocket, 1/1 for 1 with Death Touch, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target non-land permanent card from that player's graveyard, and mana of any type can be spent to cast a spell. So getting into your opponent's graveyard, it targets a card, so again, it commits a crime. Viconia, I think, is the MVP of repeatable crimes. It's a 2 mana 2/3, which is not bad stats. It has Specialise, which was a mechanic from the Baldur's Gate set, which I've never used, but you could. But the key thing is you pay 1 to exile target card from a graveyard. There's no restrictions. So essentially, for 2 mana, you can commit a crime on your turn and your opponent's turn, which is just fantastic. A repeatable way. Obviously, they need the cards in their graveyard, but that's not rare in Brawl, obviously. Next up, Agatha's Soul Cauldron. 2 mana artifact. You can tap into exile target card from a graveyard, and there's a crime. And whenever a creature card is exiled that way, you put a +1/+1 count on target creature you control. So again, a great way to commit a crime in your opponent's turn, even if they don't have any cards. Unlicensed Hearse is very much the same. It's a vehicle. You tap it to exile 2 target cards from a single graveyard, so you can't split it between your and your opponent's graveyard. And then its power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards exiled with it. Graveyard Trespasser, when it ETBs and when it attacks, you exile a card from a graveyard. Lord Skithiryx, very similar. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you create a rat token, and then whenever a rat enters the battlefield under your control, you exile 1 target card from your opponent's graveyard. So these are great ways to basically trigger crimes on your turn, essentially for free. If you play Lord Skitter or Graveyard Trespasser and then play Gisa, at combat, you've got to attack with a Trespasser. You can just get in and commit that crime. And finally, we've got Liliana the Veil, -2, target player sacrifices a creature. It is repeatable technically, not that often though. Next up, we have our zombies and skeletons. We don't have as many of these as we did when I first started building the deck. Champion Never Perished, whenever a zombie ETB is under control, gets a +1/+1 counter on the champion. So, for example, if you get your zombies from Gisa, this will grow very big. Cold Conscript, endless tapped, and you can return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only if a non-skeleton creature died under your control this turn. What's interesting is this does not say you can cast it from your graveyard, it's return it. That means you can do it on your opponent's turn if a non-skeleton creature died on their turn. It's worth remembering because a lot of cards say, oh, you can play it from your graveyard. This is not play it, this is just return it. Forsaken Miner, 1 mana 2/2, it can't block. And whenever you commit a crime, you can pay 1. If you do, return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. And we'll be committing a lot of crimes, so we'll be able to get that back quite a lot. Shambling Ghast, a great card from Baldur's Gate, a 1 mana 1/1. When it dies, you can either give a creature -1/-1 to the end of turn. So a great way if you want to block a 2/2, you can kill it. Or more likely, we will create a treasure. Jadar, Ghoul of Nephalia. At the beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures for Decayed, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature with Decayed. Decayed basically means if you attack with it, you sacrifice it at the end of combat. Undead Augur, whenever it or another zombie you control dies, draw a card, lose 1 life. Archgord of Thraben, when it or another zombie you control dies, you look at the top card of your library. If it's a zombie, you may put it into your hand. If it's not, you can put it into your graveyard. Cultists of the Lost, scared you control get +1 +0 and have haste. When ETBs, you create a 2/2 black skeleton pirate creature, so that'll be a 3/2 with the enchantment. And beginning with end step, if you descended, which means if a permanent card enters your graveyard from anywhere, you can pay 1 life and get it back to your hand, so you can get that token again. Fellstinger, it is a zombie. When it ETBs, you can exploit a creature, which means you can sacrifice a creature, and target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Often we exploit it. So this is basically 3 mana, draw 2, lose 2. Midnight Reaper. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, it deals 1 damage to you and you draw a card. And then Grave Merchant of Asphodel or Gary, when it ETBs, each opponent loses X life or X is your devotion to black. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. Because we are a mono black deck, our devotion is usually pretty high, so that's a great finisher as well and a great way to gain back life. And finally we have non-zombie creatures. Blood Artist, just a great way to gain life and ping your opponent. Orcish Bowmasters, because it's just broken. Obviously this is a slightly nerfed version from Alchemy. So it only pings something when an opponent draws a card, except the first one, not when Bowmasters ETBs. Vadmir, one of our crime payoffs. Whenever you commit a crime, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Only triggers once each turn though. But as long as it has 4 or more +1/+1 counters, as Menace and Lifelink, getting up to 4 counters is not particularly hard. Say, for example, you have Tiny Bones joins up, you on turn 1, you play this on turn 2, you already at a 3/3, and then, if you can commit a crime on your turn, their opponent's turn, and back to your turn. Gifted Aetherborn, a 2 mana 2/3 Death Touch and Lifelink, just a great low curve creature, and it can kill pretty much anything, and it's really good to get a devotion up. And then Carevac the Punisher, another crime payoff. When you commit a crime, you can exile target black card from your graveyard and copy it. If they cast a copy, you do lose 2 life. Obviously, the vast majority of our cards are black, so we'll be able to cast pretty much anything from our graveyard at the cost of 2 life and that card's mana cost. And then we just have general good stuff. Village Rites and Deadly Dispute, sacrifice a creature, draw cards. Create a treasure with Deadly Dispute. Phyrexian Arena, begin your upkeep, draw a card, lose 1 life, so extra draw. Necropotence, you skip your draw step, but you can pay 1 life to exile the top card of your library and put it into your hand at the end of the next end step. So a bit of a non-bow Phyrexian Arena, so you probably only want 1 of these down, but again, Necro is a great way to get devotion. Blood on the Snow, 6 mana, board wipe, but then you can choose to destroy all creatures or planeswalkers, but then you can turn a creature or planeswalker card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of snow mana spent to cast a spell. So, we can wipe the board, send Gisa to the graveyard, and as long as we spent 5 snow mana, we can get it straight back. Jamil, just a great card. Spells you control can't be countered. A begin your end step, discover 5. Meaning you exile cards from the top of your library into exile a non-land card with mana value 5 or less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost, or you can put it into your hand. Mortal Sun, Planeswalkers, loyalty abilities can't be activated. We only have 1 Planeswalker, so that's not really affecting us. Draw an extra card. Spells you control costs 1 less. Creature control get +1/+1. And then Rise of the Dark Realms. Never actually got to cast it because it's 9 mana, but you put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. Just a great finisher, really. And then to the mana base, Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Then exile something from your opponent's graveyard, so that commits a crime. Snow-covered swamps because of Blood on the Snow. Takanuma to potentially mill or get some cards back. Cavern of Souls for control decks. Demolition Field and Field of Ruin both target a opponent's land, so these can be a way to commit a crime without needing a creature on the board. Faceless Haven turns into a creature with all creature types, so it'll count as a skeleton and a zombie, so it will get buffed by Gisa. And then finally, Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, because we're a mono black deck, our devotion can get pretty high, so it's just a way to draw extra mana. That's the deck. I had a great time playing this deck. I'm recording this after the gameplay videos. I changed the deck quite a lot. Well, not quite a lot. I changed the deck quite a lot. Didn't record any of it, of the old stuff. Then recorded about, I think, 12 games with a slightly different deck, and then changed it to this final deck. I think the things that added in were Necropotence, and there are a few other cards. I took out some of the zombies which didn't really fit. I think I added in Corrupt, Blood Artist, just basically kind of ways to gain a bit of life, because this deck can be quite slow if you get stuck on mana. But Yeah, so don't be surprised if you watch the gameplay videos and some of there's some cards in there which aren't in this. This is the final version. So I really hope you enjoy the gameplay video. If you do, please remember to like and subscribe. It does massive favours for the channel. And I will see you all in the gameplay. We're against a Bristly build deck, so a landfall style mono green deck. So I think cut down Heartless Act, that all our removal is going to be quite good. We do need to draw another land, but we are on the play. Well, we draw a few more lands, but another land to get to Replicating Ring. All the removal. Yeah, we will kill that straight away. There's a land, and we'll Replicating Ring. They can play out Bristly Bill again, so we'll just keep up Murderous Rider or Heartless Act, one of the two. There's possibility they have protection for him. If they do, we can Murderous Rider next turn. They had something. It sounded like they were thinking about it. Let's just get down Gisa, and then don't really need to play out the Amber yet. That is something that definitely needs to be dealt with. Have they got a fight spell? They won't be able to pay for Ward. Unless it's somehow free. So we have 7 we can... Sure, let's get down the Midnight Rider. And seeing as they're tapped out, let's destroy the Pock. And swing in for 4. We are out of removal now for Bristly build, but we're in a good spot. We have 2 more zombies and the Faceless Haven as well. Faceless Haven. They go digging for a land. So if we play out the Rider, I'm going to turn Faceless Haven into a creature and just swing in. They can only block Gisa. And yeah. They would need a Bald White, which in mono green, I don't think they have. They can only really destroy creatures. And I think they did have a fight spell based on what they tried to do previous turn. But even if they took out Gisa, we had enough creatures for lethal. Or up against a Voja deck. Voja is a very tough deck. It's a very aggro deck. We only have Ravenous Chupacabra as removal, but Voja does have Walled 3 as well. But we get card draw effects arena and we can get it to their hand with Deep Cavern Bat. we might want to play Viconia next turn, just as a way it can ramp us with Mox Amber. Infernal Grasp was a good draw. I think Voja's, giving Voja haste is not what we want to see. Zombie doesn't really matter. I'll swing in, see what they do. And then I'll play out the arena. They can't cast Voja just yet. But hopefully we draw a land so we can keep up Infernal Grasp to take out Voja, which obviously has walled. There's the land, and there's another land. So we need 5 because Voja's got walled 3, and we do. So unfortunately, we're just going to have to hold up Infernal Grasp, which I'm sure they'll realise. Yeah. The fact they auto-tapped, well, manually tapped, sorry, suggests that they might have removal protection. If they do, we're in trouble. They do not. We aren't going to be able to kill Voja before it swings in. So I'm going to get down Gisa. And get down Champion. They don't have anything in their graveyard for us to exile with Viconia. But I think we're about to take a massive hit. But the Champion is going to get quite big if it survives. Yep. Yeah, I think we're just dead. Yeah. Yeah. Voja, I think, is a... Walled 3 is a pain in the ass on a 5 mana card because it means you pay 2 for most removal spells and you end up having to pay 5, and when it's got haste it's basically game over. I'm against Niv-Mizzet Guildpact. It's probably a spell based deck, a multicoloured deck. This is okay. This is a very zombie heavy deck, but March is a good card to have. We'll swing in. we will keep up Orcish Bowmasters. And I will just take out that. Land would be good. There is land. And then we'll swing in again. Play out the Undead Augur. I'll exploit the gas. Should have done it after combat, really. We'll create a treasure. Draw 3 cards. And then I will keep up Bowmasters again. Yeah, missed out on a damage. Do need to draw into some of our removal for when they are able to cast Niv. That's a bit annoying.
If you want a job done right, hire the best.
At least we can take out Kaya. One at you, one at you. Play Lord Skidder. And we'll keep up Bowmasters. Again, should have played Skidder before combat. Whoa.
There's no job to
Let's do the same.
Well, I guess I got in over my head.
Oh yeah, they didn't want to play Niv for some reason, and yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe they thought we had removal when actually we didn't. And yeah, I should have played Lord Skidder before combat on the previous turn, just so that we would have got a trigger for Gisa. But it was a good result in the end. Up against another Niv deck. So this is a Spellslinger deck. It's a very powerful one. Well, that's a mulligan. We have no coloured land. This is okay. We have removal. And then Agatha Soul Cauldron gives us a way to commit crimes. There are going to be a lot of counter spells in their deck. This is a deck where Bowmasters will be really helpful. So Niv has whenever any player casts an instant sorcery, you draw a card, and when you draw a card, you deal damage to any target. I'll play out the Reaper just as a potential card draw engine. So I think we just need to remove the Electromancer. If he doesn't get counted, there was no stick. Do this to put a counter on the Reaper. Might as well play out the hearse. Wow, it's odd to see a control slash tempo deck concede like that. We didn't have any more removal in our hand, but they didn't know that. But if we did get another land, we could have had. If we have Kurvok up, then we can commit a crime essentially whenever we want for free with Agatha Soul Cauldron. And I think we've got to pay for Unlicensed Hearse, which could have got back Walk the Plank to take out a creature. So, really good result. Up against Prosper, so plain cast from Exile deck. We don't have any removal, which is an issue. Vadmir can start growing, maybe with Demolition Field. Snap. We'll play out the Archghoul. They don't have any non-basic lands yet for Demolition Field. But Crippling Fear can do some work, seeing as we've only got zombies in play. Bolus's Citadel and Bitter Triumph. It's just they've got a few other removal spells. If I attack, I will block with a Shambling Ghast. Fair enough. I will just get the treasure then. We can get down the Inner Sun. I didn't mean to put the Chupacabra into my graveyard, but oh well. next turn we can Vadmir and Blood Cheese first. The Reflection probably. Or we can Crippling Fear actually. You get an untapped land. We can Vadmir and Crippling Fear. Wishcore Talisman. I would quite like that. I wonder what they get. Let's play out Vadmir. Oh no, I should have done that. It's fine. Then let's destroy the Reflection. Oh, because it doesn't count as 2 or less, does it? Fair enough. Let's see what we hit. Sure, I'll done this the dispute. Well, I'm about to draw it, so sure. Fine, I don't mind if they get a treasure. Cut down can also take out the Prosper as well. They haven't Wish Clawed yet. Oh, everyone's favourite Ragavan. That's getting cut down. We can Infernal Grasp something to get the crime trigger. Wonder what they're getting. And will they play it straight away? They only have 4 mana. Is that what they searched up for? They could take out Gisa, but if that's it, I'm not particularly bothered by it. Goodbye, Ragavan. Faceless Haven, Tiny Bones. Let's not search up something. We're ahead. Liliana's okay for a free spell.
Happy to help, but I'm taking the credit when we win.
We can minus Liliana to destroy. We'll make them sacrifice one of their creatures. They finally play out their commander. Should have turned on my Faceless Haven. Yeah, sure.
Now you've got my attention.
I find it really odd that a multicoloured deck isn't playing any dual lands.
Drop it.
Seven, 10. We have lethal, and seeing as most of our creatures have menace, they may not be able to stop us. Yeah. Yeah, we just had too much power on the board. So a good result in the end. Oh, Vadmir. So a crime-based deck. There's going to be tons of removal in their deck. So, yeah, we're on the draw as well, which isn't great. I'm not going to play the Shambling Ghast. I'll play that on turn 2. When I can, well, protect it with Village Rights, essentially. I'm hoping they just play Vadmir so we can Liliana and get them to... Well, I was going to say get them to sacrifice it, but... Create a treasure. There's no point playing Liliana, he'll just get killed. But next turn we can play Gisa. It's weird, in all these games I've played, I think I've seen Mindstone twice, Arcane Signet once, and Mox Amber a couple of times, and that's it. Oh, I think Replicating Ring once. But we just seem to draw all the land. I imagine Gisa will get removed. But next turn we can Blood on the Snow. We don't quite have the snow-covered lands to get her back yet. What is with all this land? Well, she's gonna die, but let's get discarding.
And you think you can win? I'm tired of your secrets.
We're not too far away from casting Rise of the Dark Realms. Although there's not much in the graveyards. I am fine with that.
Sorry, I'm not interested in dying today.
I will sacrifice this to draw a card. And then what we'll do, we'll Blood on the Slow. They will sacrifice everything to scry. But I still can get Liliana back.
Something suspicious is going on. And for once, it's not my fault. Drop it. Whatever. Luck favors the foolish, after all.
We need one more land before we can Rise of the Dark Realms. But if not, we'll just get Viconia down and start exiling things from their graveyard. Well, that's a draw. Now we don't draw any land. Then it's only the second time I've ever cast that spell, and the first one I think I destroyed one creature. If we can just get that land for Rise of the Dark Realms. Although they did just exile everything in there. Which is annoying, but never mind. Yeah. I don't know why they didn't play Vadim again earlier, but that overwhelming odds just, well, it was overwhelming odds for them to win. And yeah, it's kind of annoying. I wanted to play Rise of the Dark Realms, but they exiled most of their creatures to replay Woe Strider, and we never actually drew the 9th land. But yeah, it was a good result though. Pretty close game, I think, overall. Up against Skithiryx, so an Infect deck removal is going to be very important. And from what I understand, Skithiryx is the only Infect creature on Arena. Another removal spell is good. Let's play out the relic, get our ramp on. They might be able to cast Skithiryx this turn, but I won't be able to give it haste. Fair enough. Let's just get rid of that. And then let's keep our removal open for Skithiryx. More land would be good, so we can get close to replaying our commander. There is a swamp. Let's play out the Nightmare. I don't know, they're going to draw, but... It means it's going to be very hard to remove Skithiryx. We will... They have more mana than... Let's get rid of Ugin. Well, we can replay Gisa, which I think we have to do. Problem with all their mana, it's going to be hard to kill Skithiryx because they can pay 2 to regen it. So they can give it haste. I'm fine with that. The reason being is that when you regenerate a creature, it removes them from combat. So if they attack and we destroy Skithiryx, if they regen it, it removes it from combat, and we're pretty close to having lethal. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't like give it indestructible. Yeah, we have lethal unless they've got more removal, which they might do, but they don't. Or no. Yeah, regenerate is a really, really old mechanic, and it was always confusing about how it worked. And I think, I say back when it was on a lot more cards, you could only use it at a specific time as well. You could only use it at like the end of combat. But now they've changed it, and no creatures really have it apart from Skithiryx. And yeah, when you regenerate a creature, you tap it and remove it from combat. So in that case, we didn't take the damage because it got removed from combat. So maybe they weren't quite entirely sure how it worked, but it was a good result for us. Hello Magic fans, and welcome back to the wrap up. So we played 20 games with this deck, which is more than I usually play, but one, I enjoyed it a lot, and as I mentioned in the deck check, I did tweak it quite a few times, and I didn't wipe the record basically before. So we had a 70% win rate, which is pretty good. We did actually have, I think, 80% at one point, but then went for a bit of a bad luck. Yeah, we had, after 12 games, we had 75%, and just before we had 80%, but we had a bit of a bad luck against some control decks. It is a really powerful deck, and I think if you can get Gisa down on turn 4 or on curve on turn 5 and commit a crime the same turn, either through something like Lord Skitter or Graveyard Trespasser, or if you've got Tiny Bones joins up, it's very hard for your opponent to come back from that unless they do a complete board wipe. And then some of our zombies draw cards based on other zombies dying, so yeah, we'd all also come out ahead as well. So we struggled against control decks. There was a game against Chromium, which I think we got them down to like 3 life, but then they just started controlling the game, and there was no way we could get back. There were like a few games where we flooded out, some where we bricked out. I think there was one game as well where when we saw 19 cards No, we saw 15 cards and 9 of them were lands. Yet we still somehow won that game because I think our opponent had the same problem. With a 40 lands in your deck, you're always going to get that a bit, but that was a bit ridiculous. So, a very powerful deck, as I said, and a very enjoyable one. This is probably the most fun I've had playing Brawl, which is why I played 20 games with it. You could tweak it more as well. Maybe take out. You could go back a bit more towards creatures. I do think there were times where I had a bit too much removal, especially against, say, the control decks where you don't have much to remove. And then because you've only got Gisa on the battlefield, it makes it a lot easier to remove with, say, sacrifice effects and things like that. So, and it makes it very hard to, say, threaten opposing planeswalkers. So hope you all enjoyed the gameplay videos. I had a great time recording them and playing them. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.